I apologize. I apologize for any of the boxing voice fans, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of boxing voice fans out there. I mean, the guy has 100,000 subscribers, but I can't stand Ness from the boxing voice, or the boxing voice. I can't stand that guy. I just can't stand that guy. Every time I watch one of their live streams, like, the dude just comes across as such a big Deontay Wilder fanboy. He's always defending Deontay Wilder. Occasionally he'll defend, Eddie Hearn, but he's mostly a Deontay Wilder defender. And I'm watching his live stream, and the guy's talking about that. He wouldn't mind this fight marinating into the year 2021, and it's like he says he wouldn't mind it, and then one of the other guys is like, dude, so you wouldn't mind having Deontay Wilder be like 37, 38 years old by the time he fights Anthony Joshua, and he tries to make these excuses, these comparisons to other fighters, like, oh, how old was Floyd Mayweather Jr. when he fought Manny Pacquiao? How old was Bernard Hopkins? The thing is, bro, Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. was one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in my life. You want to know why? Because they were both over the hill. They were both nearly 40 years old, so they fought a patient fight. Bernard Hopkins was known as one of the most boring fighters, especially when he was in his late 30s and 40s. I used to watch Bernard Hopkins fights, and I used to be put to sleep. You want to know why he was so boring? Because he was an old fighter. And the thing about these older fighters is they're more patient. They're more safety first type of fighters because they're veterans. They're not like these young fighters who go out there and try and knock people out in the first round because they're experienced. That's why when it comes to these old veterans fighting, the fight ends up being boring and lame because they're veterans. So that's why people don't want to see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder in fucking 5 years, because by then it's going to be a boring fight. It will be a fight between two veterans. You get what I'm saying? Another thing, this guy was talking about the fact that, because he was talking about the fact that Eddie Hearn said this fight might not happen with Wilder and Joshua into the year 2021 because Wilder has in store facing like 4 opponents, a fight with Adam Konecki, a rematch with Luis Ortiz, and 2 back-to-back fights with Tyson Fury, a trilogy, right? And then he was saying, how could Anthony Joshua, if this is true, and then he'll fight the Anthony Joshua, right? Deontay Wilder. But Ness was saying, how could Anthony Joshua compete with this? How could he compete with this? How could Anthony Joshua compete with Deontay Wilder fighting Adam Konecki, Luis Ortiz, and 2 back-to-back fights with Tyson Fury? First of all, it's rumored that when Deontay Wilder ducks Anthony Joshua after Anthony Joshua gets past Andy Ruiz, it's rumored that he's gonna fight Alexander Usyk. I'll tell you this right now: Alexander Usyk is better than both Adam Konecki and Luis Ortiz. Facts. This is a champion, a former undisputed champion at cruiserweight. What has Luis Ortiz done? Nothing. He's a contender. He's never beaten a top 10 heavyweight. So don't come at me and try to say that Luis Ortiz is this dangerous pound for pound heavyweight when he hasn't beaten a top 10 heavyweight. I'm sick of people calling this guy an elite top 10 heavyweight. You haven't beaten an elite heavyweight. Alexander Usyk has wiped out his division. He's actually in a better position than Luis Ortiz because he's actually was a champion. He was an undisputed champion, right? So right there, let's take away if Anthony Joshua were to fight Alexander Usyk next, that would be better than Deontay Wilder fighting both Adam Konecki and Luis Ortiz, because both of these guys are just contenders. Now, when it comes to Tyson Fury, this guy was a former unified champion. So, although recently he's been very inactive and he's fighting a bum in Tom Schwartz next, but he was a former undisputed champion. So there. All right. So again, I just don't like this guy's attitude, the way he seems to be like, oh, who cares? Who cares if this fight takes place in the year 2022? Like, what the fuck? You shouldn't want this fight to happen right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, listen, the bottom line is this. Anthony Joshua wants this fight with Deontay Wilder, okay? He wants this fight. He wanted this year. This was the year where he really wanted this fight. That's why he let Eddie Hearn in his own offer Deontay Wilder this fight. He also wanted to fight Luis Ortiz, by the way, the guy that you claim is the second or the third best heavyweight in the world, which is an absolute lie. He wanted to fight him, but they both. You wouldn't know what the Ortiz situation, and Wilder rejected that fight, right? So this fight, we're gonna have to wait. And you know what? Like I said, I was one of the first people on this whole YouTube platform that went around saying, I literally made a video in 2018 when nobody was saying this. Everybody back then was saying, oh no, Wilder's going to fight Anthony Joshua in the year later in the year 2018 or 100% the year 2019. Now everybody's talking about the year 2020, 2021. But like I said, I was one of the first, and I showed you proof in my other video. I was one of the first people who ever came out here and was like, yo, these guys are not going to fight anytime soon. So, again, I just wish these guys weren't biased like this boxing voice, and they just said it how it truly is. The reason this fight's being prolonged is clearly because of Wilder and his fucking team ducking this fight, avoiding this fight. And not trying to come up with these excuses. Oh, you know what? It's actually not really a bad thing if Wilder and Joshua don't fight to then, because these are good opponents and stuff like that. It's fucking ridiculous, man. The boxing voice and Ness, especially that Ness guy, he's freaking Wilder nut hugger. Facts is all to say, guys. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for the latest in boxing, man.